There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers, a dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends, a place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view, but when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. It's Monday and you're tuned into the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness. It's a Supernatural News ParaShare Monday. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. Along with me at the Supernatural News desk somewhere in a subterranean basement, locked to a vault and chained to the wall, Mr. Tim Dennis. Tim, how are you?
I'm doing good, and you're pretty close on that chain to a wall somewhere in a subterranean basement. I'm actually I'm in a panic room. I'm not kidding when I tell you I'm in a panic room.
Well, there's no need to panic, Tim. It's Monday. It's Supernatural News and ParaShare. This is a day for joyous fun.
But, Dave, there's hurricanes everywhere.
Not in Minnesota, Tim. We're in the safest place on planet Earth right now.
Well, I don't know about that.
No, we are. We're in the middle of the country at the top. We've got, Canada to our north who will take the onslaught of an avalanche. We've got all the states below us that, will take earthquakes and tsunamis, and we're not going to feel any discomfort from it.
Well, I hope not.
No, but we don't want anybody else to feel discomfort either. We've been doing our prayers and intentions. I've been posting them, and I want to thank you all for helping us out and praying and sending your good luck and good wishes and power and energy, because I think it's had some effect on the storms from what they were getting, what they were expecting. I'm hearing from my friends in Florida that it was not nearly as devastating as they thought it might be. So,
and it's moving
I don't know.
To the west. You've doomed Georgia for some reason. I don't know why, but
damn you, Georgia.
You said move it away from Florida, and we did. We moved it right into Georgia.
No, we meant to push it to the other side, out into the. Let's send it to North Korea. Let's just send it out there. Right, keep that focus going. All right, so we've got some supernatural news stories to share. We've got some of your paranormal encounters to share as the show progresses. But I have to mention, Tim, that you get extra me this week. That's right, Tim. It's a full week packed with me, my favorite ingredient. Friday, I will also be hosting Coast to Coast AM, and we're doing something a little off topic. For those of you that are also into pop culture, I'm going to spend the first 2 hours talking with Mike Nesmith of the Monkees, and chatting with him as we're at the 51st anniversary of the Monkees. Then we'll be doing open phone lines for the last 2 hours. Then on Saturday, Tim, I'll be back hosting Coast to Coast again. And these are both midnight till 4 a.m. Central Time, Friday, early Saturday morning, and Saturday, early Sunday morning. So you can find more information at coasttocoastam.com. Click on the Stations tab and find a station in your area that'll be playing, or you can just listen to it right off of our own station here in the Minnesota area, knSIradio.com. knSIradio.com. You could stream it and follow along, listen live as it happens, no matter where you are in the United States. You can listen to it live from their app and be able to listen to the show as it progresses. Saturday, Tim, the American Ripper. I'm going to be talking with Jeff Mudgett and Amaryllis Fox from the TV series on History Channel, American Ripper. Now, we have been talking with Jeff Mudgett for years regarding this case. Could H.H. Holmes truly be Jack the Ripper? So, they did a remarkable series that just played out on History Channel with a lot of twists and turns that even Jeff Mudgett was not familiar with. So we're going to talk to them for the first 2 hours, and then the last 2 hours, we're going to talk about more true crime with a woman who's known and been close to a few serial killers. So that's what's going to take place this coming weekend on Coast to Coast AM. So hopefully you guys will join us. You'll listen all 5 days here, and then you can join me on Coast to Coast AM Friday and Saturday night. Tomorrow is True Crime Tuesday, Tim. And I'm going to tell people there was a huge collapse of information on the True Crime Tuesday site. So we wanted to make sure that we had all of the people that legitimately had signed up from the beginning of time until September 1st. So we will be drawing those names the middle of this week and making an announcement at sometime this week for the 3 people that won a 1-year membership to True Crime Tuesday. But Tim, because it took longer than we expected, because of that hiccup in the system, and well, because let's face it, I'm a pretty damn good guy, I'm going to give away 3 more 1-year memberships.
Wow.
I'm going to do that for anybody that has signed up between now and my birthday, November 22nd. It's a day of giving thanks right after, Tim. Thanksgiving's November 23rd. So
that's what I hear, yeah.
We will take everybody that signs up between now and November 22nd, and then we'll be giving those away the following Monday. We'll give away 3 more. So this gives you a couple of months to sign up if you're still on that fence post wondering if you should sign up for True Crime Tuesday. What the hell's wrong with you? Of course you should. You love our show. You're going to love True Crime Tuesday. And every week you get a brand new episode, 60 to 90 minutes worth of true crime, and then an additional 30 to 45 minutes of dumb crimes, stupid criminals. Now, I will mention this. Last week we did a true crime episode, brand new. The file was corrupt. We lost the entire interview. We're going to be re-recording that interview. But we were in a bit of a bind. So we gave you a classic episode from back in 2013 with Mark Anthony. But it was all brand new dumb crime, stupid criminals. So most of you that signed up didn't even know it was a brand new old episode. And we don't like doing that. We're promising that we're always going to give you new episodes. And since we started, that's all we provided. The only reason we replaced this last episode was simply because of a corrupt file, and we didn't have an interview to put up for Tuesday. We wanted to make sure that there was something up for you guys to enjoy. And Mark Anthony is one of the best true crime guests we ever have. So it was a no-brainer, and we were able to dip into the archives going back almost 4 years. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. But going forward, you'll have all new episodes. Tomorrow, Tim, Troy Taylor is going to join us, and we're going to talk about a very haunting true crime from California that includes murder, mystery, and a bit of a haunting. And that takes place tomorrow on True Crime Tuesday. If you want to sign up, it's real simple. Just go to darknessradio.com, find the True Crime Tuesday banner, click on it, and you can subscribe there. It's only $5 a month. Only $5 a month. Less than a cup of coffee at any one of the big chains. So please, do us a favor. That goes a long way to help support this show and True Crime Tuesday, and helps your buddies out. So go sign up now. Go to darknessradio.com. Click on the True Crime Tuesday banner, and you can subscribe now. And remember, everybody that subscribes will be entered into the drawing for November 22nd. Whoever's entered in between now and November 22nd will be entered in. We'll pull 3 names again and give you a chance to subscribe, or give you a chance to get 3 1-year subscriptions. So there'll be 3 different individuals drawn, and that'll be a cool little deal. But that's a gift from me to you for my birthday, because it's how I roll, Tim. I'm giving gifts on my birthday.
Who said I wasn't giving gifts?
Well, your birthday was a couple weeks back, and I didn't get a gift from you.
I gave everybody the gift of me.
Oh, well, there is that. Well, I'm doing that this weekend on Coast to Coast AM. But, Tim, let's get to the supernatural news. Where are we going to begin tonight?
Oh, no, Dave.
What?
You get to do promos. I'm going to do a promo. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Ready, set? Actually, this weekend, this Saturday, is not only a big day for you, but it's also a big day for me. IWI is back. It's the season opener. And just really quickly here, we're at the Coon Rapids American Legion now. We're not at the Mounds Theater anymore. We're in Coon Rapids, Minnesota, at the Coon Rapids American Legion, post 334. It's on Crooked Lake Boulevard. And our special guest is Leva Bates from WWE's NXT product and from Impact Wrestling. So she's going to be she's also known as Blue Pants. I don't know if you know that, Dave. I think we might have talked about this once before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But she's going to be in a mixed tag match that night. That's our special main event for our opener. Again, it's at the Coon Rapids American Legion, post 334. It's $12 for adults, $8 for kids. You can get tickets at the door at the Coon Rapids American Legion post, and bell time is at 7:30. Doors open at 6:45.
Sounds cool. All right,
let's
dip into the supernatural news for the week. Where are we beginning?
Oh, Dave, what a tangled web we weave this week. It's a strange week. We'll put it that way. We're going to start off right away by heading to Nebraska. That's where we're going to start first. Parents of a teen accused of shooting a sheriff's deputy claim their son was possessed. It's a definite different defense.
Right.
I used the 3 Ds there.
The devil made me do it. Yeah, of course.
The night that there's, yeah. Oh, of course. Every parent might say that.
Right.
Talk about the night their son went on a rampage, attacking them and allegedly shooting a Douglas County Sheriff's deputy. And I tell you, the story in itself is a little hair-raising. Gail Pitsey, the mother, says he realized early on his size would give him the potential to get a scholarship to get to college and help pay for college. Now, Tyler, her son, Tyler Pitsey, is a football player, and a star football player at that, and a winning wrestler for DC West High School in Waterloo, and is also a state powerlifting champion. So he's a strong kid right away, Dave. You don't want to put the devil in this kid. Let's just put it that way.
No, because then it's just like what you're doing is you're giving the Hulk some rage formula to make him even stronger.
Exactly.
Nerd alert, nerd alert, nerd alert. Go ahead.
But last Sunday, his dreams and goals disappeared when he got into a confrontation with Douglas County Sheriff's deputies. Gunfire was exchanged at the Pittsey's Waterloo home, or Pitzel's rather. There's a big I and a little L. Go figure. At the Pitzel's Waterloo home, one deputy was hit by shotgun pellets. A deputy shot the 17-year-old Pitzel once in the abdomen. His parents said he's on a ventilator, and doctors performed 2 surgeries, removing a kidney and repairing his colon. He's getting a little better each day, and he is following commands and waking up. He's able to nod yes and no, but he's got a long way to go, his mother went on to say. Dennis and Gail Pitzel don't know what led up to the rampage at their home. They say that he missed curfew and were concerned that he was out driving when it was unusually foggy. In a matter of 5 minutes, everything went from a normal conversation to him being possessed, Dennis went on to say, his father. He wasn't our son anymore. He was possessed. That's the quote. They said he was angry, then enraged, and started attacking them. Here's Gail Pitzel's account of that night. I saw him coming with the baseball bat, and I yelled to Dennis, he's got a bat. He made us sit down on patio chairs. He had the bat, and he wouldn't let us get up. We begged with him, and then chasing us ensued with the bat, and that's when Dennis called 911. Dennis got away for a short time, and he told me to get into the house. We got into the house and locked it. He started bashing in the storm door with the baseball bat, and he got through the storm door, and he started bashing the window in on the front door. My husband tackled him, and he was heading towards the gun safe. Dennis says, I'm going to hold you and not let you go. That sounds romantic, actually. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to let you do this. I'm going to hold you. That's when he started stomping on Dennis and kicking him. I had to get him to stop when he picked up the ottoman.
Good God.
He picked up the ottoman. And I kicked him again to stop, and he turned his attention on me and started hitting me in the face and hitting me with the bat. Now, he's hitting his own mother at this point.
Jeez. And
I'm crying and pleading and trying to get through to him. He picked up the ottoman and smashed me with the ottoman. Ow. Dennis,
God.
Yeah. Dennis took his attention away, and he ran out of the house, and then I knew the police were coming. It was so foggy, and I didn't want to lose him in the fog. I didn't want to lose where he was going. I was so afraid he'd hurt himself. He was lost in the fog, but I could hear the baseball bat hitting things. I could hear it hit the boat, hear it hit the buildings. And he came back, and he had us on the patio again, and we were trying to de-escalate the situation and calm him down. Now, 2 Douglas County Sheriff's deputies arrived, and they say gunfire was exchanged at that point. Everybody is screaming, drop the gun, drop the gun. They're yelling at him. All of a sudden, I hear a shot, Dennis Pitzel said. I don't know who shot first. No clue who shot first. I just know there was a shot, and then there was just a melee of bullets, or a melee, however you wish to say it. The Pitzel's lawyer said he asked for more toxicology tests to be run, wondering if he unknowingly ingested a substance. He wants to get to the bottom of why this happened. No question about his past history or what people say about him that he did not intentionally ingest any drugs, or there was some reason for a psychotic episode. We need to find out why, James Martin Davis went on to say. The doctors told the Pitzels he probably won't play football again. The prosecutors have gone on and not charged him as of yet, They say they plan to charge him as an adult for the crime. So there you go.
So where does the possession part come in, though?
They just believe that there was no substances in his system. This wasn't a rage incident, and that it simply he was just possessed. It just some spirit came over him, and he decided to go after this. Now, here's where I throw this in, knowing what I know from athletic backgrounds. The kid's 17 years old, and I know you've taken a look at the story, and you've seen how big this kid is for 17. I got to throw this in there. You've got substances like human growth hormone and certain kinds of steroids that are tested for but not detected in the bloodstream. When a young teenager gets those substances into their system, they go through rage fits like you wouldn't believe. And it's not too far of a stretch to say that this kid could have been playing with some substances to put some meat on his bones, especially if he's playing football, if he's wrestling, if he's doing these sports where he needs to either add weight, bulk, or strength. And maybe he just had a giant rage fit.
Roid rage. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that is crazy and disheartening. I mean, what a tragedy to have a kid that's got all of that potential and future, and in the blink of an eye, it's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it's scary to think. I mean, to say, well, the devil made him do it, but in the same respect, there's no, there's not, anything coming out of his mouth saying that he's a certain demon or anything identifying him as it being anything supernatural. It's just, at that point, he's going on and he's acting irrationally and almost acting like the Hulk, and out of control, but he's not, at the same time, he's not saying he's not in his right mind.
Right.
All
right, where are we going to go next, sir?
Well, Dave, speaking of demons and Satan and being possessed, the chief exorcist of the Philippines has warned that Illuminati Satanists, and that's in quotes, are distributing cursed rosaries to unsuspecting Catholics.
Damn Illuminati Satanists.
You got to watch out for the brown acid, man. The brown acid. It's like a bad Woodstock for Catholics, evidently. This is terrible. Father Ambrosio Nonato Legaspi made the claim on Novalaches Radio Veritas show, Hello Father 911. I think that was once hosted by William Shatner, if I remember right. A report on the show was carried on the news site of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines. He said, listeners, be careful as the rosaries you might be using could actually be infested or cursed. The priest claimed that the rosaries were being given away by Satanists as part of a shadowy group called the Illuminati. Yeah.
So why would they be handing out cursed rosaries of anything? That just seems weird.
Well, now here's my thing.
Right.
How do you curse a rosary? Isn't a rosary supposed to be a blessed object? I mean,
you can curse anything. You can bind curses to items. And just because it's religious, remember, we've talked to plenty of people that have been involved in deliverance work and exorcisms where the demonic have snapped heads off of religious idols and icons and, broken crosses. So just because it's got a religious theme or nature to it does not mean that it's not, susceptible to dark forces as well.
Well, Dave, evidently, it says here that the Satanists had prayed over the rosaries to consecrate them to evil. So whoever then used them, he warned, would be followed by evil spirits as a result. These were made not only to be simply given away, but to deceive Catholics so that evil spirits will haunt them, he added. Speaking on the same show, Philip de Guzman of the Diocese of Novalaches Office of Exorcism, I had no idea they had a chapter, by the way, said the rosaries contained hidden symbols. These included such things as sunbursts, pentagrams, and snakes, he claims. As proof of this, Mr. de Guzman said they had contacted such a rosary from a recent infestation case handled by exorcists. It was this artifact, he said, that was causing disturbances in the house. Sometimes there are no symbols, Father Legaspi said, but a ritual was done on it so they could inflict harm on others. He then urged priests to bless and exorcise religious items, particularly if the owners had experienced paranormal occurrences. Not just a blessing, he said. These items should be exorcised, not just an ordinary blessing where water is just sprinkled, as most priests commonly do. Use the Catholic ritual, he went on to exclaim.
Ooh.
That would frighten the demon away. That's what he's saying. The vast majority of Filipinos profess the Catholic faith, which was introduced to the country in the early 16th century.
Good grief.
Yeah.
That is, that's wild. So be on the lookout, and I guess now you have to be on the lookout if you don't have a good idea where you're getting your quote-unquote blessed items from. That's why you should always buy from Darkness Radio. Make sure to stop in our shop at darknessradio.com where you never get Illuminati-tainted blessed items. We pass on those every time they've offered them. I'm like, no, I don't think the market's quite that big yet. So we passed on those. Yeah. Hey, real quick, I mentioned it last week on the show, and I wanted to get your take on it. So the movie It is, I think, one of the first big blockbusters now to have come out this summer. I mean, you've got Wonder Woman, but really the box office has been horrible. And it looks like they had $117 million for a horror movie. It's the highest grossing horror movie opening weekend, I guess, ever, what I read in one of the articles this weekend. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. What was your take on it?
I enjoyed it as well. I went in with zero expectation, no expectation for it whatsoever. In fact, I was one of those that wasn't all that impressed with the miniseries. So I went in with no expectation. I thought, Bill Skarsgård on the who plays Pennywise on the posters looked particularly scary.
Right.
I thought, hey, this could be something. And then the trailers got me a little excited. I thought, okay, I'm going to temper that going into this because I don't want to be disappointed. And I went in with a totally open mind, and I was impressed. I liked it. It surprised me in that, knowing the story going in, you hope that the director and the producer are going to do something a little different, and it looks like they are doing something a little different. It looks like they're maybe going to split it into two different movies or two different chapters.
Right, which is what the original miniseries did. The first part of the miniseries was about the Losers Club when they were kids, and then the second part was horribly acted by guys like Harry Anderson and John Boy Walton. It was not a great series. Right. I don't know why people hold it in such high regards. Tim Curry was great, and he was creepy as Pennywise. Right. I'll give him his due. Right. But he was really the only good part of that original miniseries. And the ending with the special effects was so crap that I absolutely hated it. So I'm glad this one came out, and I enjoyed it. It's such a great mix of humor and horror, back to back. 1 minute you're laughing, the next minute you're absolutely freaked out by what's going on. And that's a hard balancing act, I thought.
Right. Yeah. And the kids in it are amazing. They really are. The kids who act, the actors in it are just amazing. They come up with a chemistry between all of them that's hard to replicate in most movies. It really is. So in it, that was the amazing part to me is it's hard to formulate a chemistry between characters that gets you to care about what's going on in the movie and to care about those individual characters. And that's what got me sucked in initially to the movie. Not so much that, right off the bat things are happening, which is good. I mean, that's what you want in that type of movie. But you really do care about each individual character, and hats off to the crew that made the movie to make you want to care.
Yeah, especially in a horror movie. Usually you're rooting for the killer to take out the annoying people that are in it. Right. But this was, just a great flick. So out of 5 stars, Tim, 1, it sucks. 5, it's amazing. Where would you put this movie?
I've been thinking about that since we saw it. In that it was a very good movie, bordering on pretty great for a horror movie. I still have my ins and outs about it, and that I didn't find it. I'm going to admit it right here and now, Dave. And I admit it on social media. I don't find clowns scary. I just don't. They're not scary to me. And so my scare factor here was nil, almost nil, except for at the end there were some things that really get you. They have different ways of trying to get that creep factor and that scare factor out of you. And Bill Skarsgård is very good as Pennywise, very good. So I was going to give it a 3.5 because I really do think it's overall a very good story, well told. The special effects are excellent. The kids are amazing as actors, but it's just kind of a little something that's still missing for me, and I don't know what that is. I couldn't tell you.
All right, let's cover another story. What have you got up for us next?
Okay, well, we continue on with this devil theme. This is a devil's letter, by the way, written by a 17th century possessed nun, finally decoded thanks to a dark web code. You know, the dark web is something we talked about for about the last year or so here on the show. But Sister Maria Crocafisa penned the satanic script in the Palma di Montecario. Quite some. Is that another?
I love sending you these stories. It's my favorite thing.
Chiaro, Monte Chiaro. That's what it is. Monte Chiaro. There we go. Scientists in Italy have in Italy, Dave, have used it. I know you do. You love it, and because you just love when I get the emails and sit back on it. Yeah, and then you just sit back and laugh and laugh. Scientists in Italy have used a piece of code found on the dark web to decipher a 17th century letter written by a Benedictine nun while she was apparently possessed by Satan. Because evidently it can happen. Who knew? In 1676, Sister Maria Crocafisa della... Thank you, by the way, for this. I appreciate that. Concezione. It sounds like something bad.
Just keep pissing off the mob and the Holy Church, Tim. Just do it. It's all good.
Why not? You know? They woke up to find her face covered in ink and a letter she had penned in an incomprehensible mix of Greek, Cyrillic, Arabic, and runic languages. Good for her sister. Way to go. She was multilingual, evidently. She and her sisters at the Palma di Montechiaro convent in Sicily believed the message had been delivered by a demon, but they were unable to make any sense of the text. For centuries, scholars and mystics from across the world would also try in vain. That's the one I screwed up, by the way, was would. Also try in vain to discern the meaning of the letter. Now, 361 years later, a team from the Ludum Science Center in Sicily claimed to have translated 15 lines of the elusive message. What's more, they used a piece of the decryption code found lurking on the dark web. See, there's a good reason to have the dark web around. It's not just around to steal your personal information and buy drugs and get a lubed up sheep to your house on your doorstep in 24 hours. Stuff like that. It's not there for that, Dave. It's there to help.
Is that how you got the lubed up sheep on your doorstep in 24 hours, Tim? The dark web?
No.
You just had one sitting around?
Yeah, that was FedEx. That's how I got that.
Nice. Yeah. So they used the dark web. I wonder at what point they were like, man, maybe the answer to this lies in the dark web. Right? Who thought, let's check it out? Or was somebody at the old institute digging around looking up for a well-lubed lamb when he happened to notice some of the runic writing, and he's like, hey, wait a minute. Wow, while I'm here, I can also decode a possessed nun's letter.
Actually, Dave, it's in Sicily, so the way it would have gone was...
Oh, God, here we go.
Hey, Giorgio, what do you think? Does this one look lubed up enough for you? Hey, wait a minute. I got an answer to this here letter. It looks like this. That's kind of how it went.
Yeah, probably. Exactly. It was almost like I was there with you when that happened. Terrifying, Tim. So what does the letter say?
Well, this is the quote from Ludum director Daniela Abate. Abate, not Abate, because Abate was what they did when the sheep got there by FedEx. Everything on there, drugs, prostitution, pedophilia, and also programs used by intelligence services to decipher secret messages like the one we used was what she told Italian Radio 105 network. A 105 network, the best in Italian pop. That's their slogan, by the way. Okay. The parts of the Devil's Letter that Abate and his team have translated discuss the relationship between God, mankind, and Satan In it, Sister Maria, whoever had possessed her, encouraged God to abandon man and leave him in the clutches of the devil. Oh, good. I mean, had a positive message. God thinks he can free mortals, it reads, adding, the system works for no one. Well, that's a cheery letter, Dave. It's
a possessed nun, Tim. Were you expecting drink your Ovaltine to be the secret message?
I was at least hoping for, something about Rainbow Bright or something like that, but apparently not. Modern historians take the view that Sister Maria suffered from schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. She was certainly a talented linguist, demonstrating a mastery of several languages and different alphabets. Abate said, my theory was that this is a precise alphabet invented by the nun with great care, mixing symbols that she knew. Each symbol is well thought out and structured. There are signs that are repeated, perhaps intentionally or perhaps unconsciously.
Wait, they're repeated? Let me look at this one. Hold on.
Okay.
All right. Uh-huh. Tim, that's... No.
What? No?
No. It says nothing about man and God and Satan.
Okay. Sure.
Here it is. Here's the basic breakdown. Using my Little Orphan Annie decoder ring, Tim, the letter says, I met him on a Monday and my heart stood still. And here comes the repeating part, Tim. It was just do run, 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 do run, run. See?
Oh, it didn't say dude run, 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 dude run, run?
No. See, completely wrong. And if you know what it takes is you just align the decoder ring off a little bit and you get a totally messed up message. So don't worry, folks. It seems a possessed nun was simply giving us a great song to enjoy. That's all. Move about your business.
Oh, well.
I don't even need the dark web, dude. I have the answers. Darkness, Dave, is the dark web. And I know the guy, Tim Dennis, you can order the well-lubed goat from.
Well, not a goat, a sheep, Dave. For the well-lubed goat, you have to go to the dark web, and I don't have access to that yet. It's, my ISP won't let me. Sister Maria is said to have told her fellow nuns that she received 2 other messages from the devil. Evidently, he had a direct line. But these were never written down or revealed to another soul. Evidently, the first one was just too good, and you never want to follow up with a really bad sequel. Yeah. So that's the name of that tune.
Sure. All right. Where's our next story going to take us, sir?
Our next story takes us to Washington State, Dave.
Washington State.
We're going to go a little outside. We've been talking demons, I know. We've been demon heavy tonight.
Yes, we have.
But I'm going to get us a little outside of that.
Okay. All right.
There's a interesting story here about a coach at Washington State who's teaching a little bit more than athletics. Life exists on other planets, Dave, and it's naive to think otherwise, according to Mike Leach. Now, you may say, who's Mike Leach? Well,
hey, who's Mike Leach, Tim?
He's a Washington State coach, Dave, wrapped up in Bigfoot and UFOs. And in his Monday press conference last week, like he always does, he answered SWX student question of the week, rather. And this time, Leach was quizzed about supernatural life forms. Does Bigfoot exist, and how about aliens? The things you don't necessarily ask at a sports press conference, Dave.
And should be asked more often.
Can you see Mike Zimmer of the Vikings taking a supernatural question?
I cannot.
He'd probably avoid it.
I see him just staring holes through you until you drop dead of your own heart attack.
He'd say, well, we probably can't keep most defenses out from sacking Sam Bradford, so we probably can't keep Bigfoot out either. That's my bad Mike Zimmer impression. The coach delivered an entertaining 5-minute monologue, giving thoughtful input on both subjects. Here's kind of where he went with it. He said, quote, I hope there's Bigfoot. I don't think that there is, Leach said. The reason I don't think there is, because we found bones of dinosaurs and everything else, but we haven't found bones that I've heard of Bigfoot. It'd be fun if there's Bigfoot. I hope there's Bigfoot, but my guess is there's not. That's a pretty good coach breakdown of Bigfoot, don't you think?
Yeah, it is, and I like that he's left the plausible deniability. I'd like there to be. There probably could be, but I bet there isn't. So it's kind of a total football coach analogy of, well, what happened in the game today? When did you break down? Well, I don't think we broke down. We played well, but we just missed some cues, and we could have done better.
But what would have put us over in this game there, David? It would have been Bigfoot.
Or
we could have Bigfoot out there.
Yeah, yep. or a tsunami blowing the other team off the field. Either way, we would have done better.
Now, we would have had a lot better output on offense, Dave. We would have run the pistol, and if we would have had Bigfoot in at right guard.
Oh, God.
Just saying.
All right, so he he tackled all the big questions. See what I did there? Tackled all the big questions.
Oh, I see what you did. Leach has a different theory about aliens, though, Dave. He suspects they exist, though it's possible they don't resemble the little green men that fictional novels, shows, and movies often portray them as. Leach began by saying, on Earth, they say, well, we're the only ones. Well, really? Why? Have you been to other planets? Have you checked out the other planets?
Wow, you've got that snarky football coach voice down really well right now.
I do, don't I?
Yeah.
Except for I don't have that. They all have that kind of, when you're in college, you got that southern drawl. So let me throw that in there for a second there. Well, really? Why? Have you been to other planets? You checked out them other planets? I think it makes more sense if it happened here, if it happened somewhere else than it only happened here. And then we know that there's galaxies beyond our galaxies. You know what I'm saying?
You never heard Lou Holtz talking about that, though. I'd like to see some kind of aliens from the planet Uranus.
Matter of fact, I'd like to see Uranus. If you'd meet me in the shower in about 5 minutes.
Oh, my God. No, why? Why? Why must you always go one toke over the line, sweet Jesus? All right, where are we going next?
I didn't do anything. We're going to a mass UFO sighting.
A massive UFO sighting. All right, do tell.
Yes, in Los Angeles. A police chopper circled a bizarre UFO in broad daylight over Los Angeles, according to this article. Clear footage, according to this article, showing a helicopter investigating a bizarre-looking circular UFO has sent alien chasers into overdrive. The video filmed over Los Angeles on Saturday shows what has been described as an L.A. County Sheriff's helicopter checking out a hovering spherical object. It has been shared several times on social media and UFO and conspiracy theory websites and YouTube channel. Tyler Glockner, who runs conspiracy theory YouTube channel Secure Team 10, oh yeah, he doesn't have too much acne on his face, produced a video about the sighting. In the short video, he said a lot of people recorded it and saw it, which validated the sighting. Yeah. He said, we have a police helicopter checking it out and circling it, which gives the impression they don't know what it is. It is a mysterious, almost metallic sphere and is completely static. Is this possibly the best UFO sighting all year, he questions? He said he had ruled it out being a hot air balloon because there was no basket. There's no basket, Dave. There's no basket. It's not a hot air balloon. However, hopes that evidence of aliens may have been discovered above California were soon dashed, however, by skeptical debunkers. Here come the debunkers, my buddies. The LASD Aero Bureau later confirmed what it was investigating. The spherical object turned out to be an advertising helium balloon for a vape company called Brass Knuckles. Are you into the vaping, Dave?
I'm not. I'm not a vapor.
No, I'm not either. Yeah. Just saying I'm not a vapor makes me kind of laugh. A vapor. Like Vicks Vapor Rub. Scott Brando, who runs a hoax-busting website, UFOinterest.org, tweeted, object identified. As I said, that UFO... Oh, wait, I should do it in a snarky voice. Object identified. As I said, that UFO film from Los Angeles was an advertising balloon by Brass Knuckles. I told you so. Told you so. Told you people. Told you. The hoax-eyed skeptical Twitter feed added, confirmed by the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, Aero Bureau. And then they were like, yeah, mic drop. Despite this, some of the original witnesses did not believe the advertising balloon was what they saw. Spike Kerrigan tweeted, that is in no way as big as the one I shot. This is full of hot air, literally. Patco Incorporated tweeted, that is not the object filmed the other day. That object in question was silver. The balloon looks nothing like it.
See, here's my problem I have with it. I've seen the footage. It's interesting. I just have a hard time believing you would set up one of the most unstable vehicles to go up and check out a UFO. I'd see like a Black Hawk jet, a stealth bomber. I'd see you sending something up there that might have a chance against it. But why would somebody say, I guess news is news, they're going to go up and try to get a story, or police. But it just seems silly to go at it with a with a news helicopter kind of feel to it. It just seems like that's bad juju.
Well, if I can understand the LA County. Here's the thing. Okay, so the LA County sheriffs go up to go see what exactly is happening with the deal. Okay, all right, I can buy that. So they go up in the helicopter to see what it is. What are they going to do once they get up? Obviously, they're not going up there because they think this is some sort of major.
No, but they might get their own reality TV show for going up there. That's my guess.
True. That's true. But obviously, if this were a huge threat, the LA County Sheriff's Department in a helicopter isn't the first thing that's going up, right?
Not that I'm aware of. Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If
they thought it was a real threat,
to contact military service, wouldn't you say?
I would hope so.
Yeah. It's not going to be the
Beverly Hills cop, Beverly Hills cops are going to go up there.
Who would go up there first.
Hey, I do have an update story here, if you don't mind me throwing this out real quick.
Sure.
Physicist Dr. Michio Kaku made a very shocking confession on live TV. He said HAARP is responsible for the recent spate of hurricanes. World-renowned physicist Dr. Michio Kaku made a shocking confession on TV live when he admitted that HAARP is responsible for this spate of hurricanes. It was an interview aired by CBS. Dr. Kaku admitted that recent man-made hurricanes have been the result of a government weather modification program in which the skies were sprayed with nanoparticles and the storms then activated through the use of lasers. In the interview, Michio Kaku discusses the history of weather modification because the CBS crew stop him in his tracks. They were baffled by this. It's
I watched this video.
What did you think about that? I mean, to come out and say that, I think HAARP did this and this was government made.
Well, you know what? The story I think is a little misleading. Here's why. They make it seem like the news anchors, and one of them was Charlie Rose. It was on CBS this morning. And they make it seem like the news anchors go, whoa, 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 and they shut them down, and they don't. What it is they kind of, it's kind of like they call him on, and he's pretty much finished his point, but, and it's not like he comes out and says the word HAARP, because he never does say HAARP, but he does say, the one point they do shut him down on is he goes back and he says, our governments have been experimenting with weather control for quite some time. And he brings up, now it's been known that the government has been experimenting with weather control since the early 1990s, but he tried to go back to the Vietnam era and accuse the government of actually manipulating weather in Vietnam to create monsoons to wash out the Viet Cong. At that point, they shut him down.
Right.
Because there's no proof. And that's where they kind of started to wrap up the segment. They didn't want him to spiral out of control. But until then, they let Dr. Kaku have free reign. He had free reign to say whatever he wanted. And in fact, he was freely going along and saying, well, essentially what they do is they do seed clouds with some sort of crystal, but essentially it's this trillion-watt laser that's shot up into the clouds. And when it's shot up into the clouds, it creates, I'm trying to remember how he phrased it again, because again, my degree is in broadcasting. It essentially creates more moisture, or it
activates the crystals, right? Kind of busts them up and turns them into moisture.
Because he was saying it could be done without the crystals. He's saying that you can shoot this trillion-watt laser up into a cloud, and essentially there has to be moisture within the cloud. You can't do this on a day with a blue sky, so you can't manufacture weather out of nowhere. So really, what he's saying is that you have to have the conditions right for that day. You can accentuate the weather, but you can't create weather. So if it's a cloudy day, you can make it worse. But if it's a blue sky, you can't create it out of nowhere. So, which is kind of a little contradicting to what most chemtrail people will tell you, where, you're seeing the sky and you can create it out of nowhere. You can't. He's saying they're doing it right now in a lab, and that it is being done. It's scientifically proven, and it's being done. I think that article is going a little far to try and tie all that together. But Michio Kaku is saying, you know what, we can do it. Absolutely. We can point this trillion-watt laser up into the sky, and if you want to make a a storm, a regular thunderstorm, a dangerous thunderstorm, we can do it with a trillion-watt laser.
Interesting.
It can be done.
I wonder if then using that trillion-watt laser, can we also break up a massive thunderstorm?
You know what? I don't think so, because the way he was describing it is it actually amps up the amount of moisture in the cloud when you shoot that laser up into there.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So, and it brings something back down the line of the laser. I have to watch the video again, but it brings something back down the line of the laser. So it amps up the precipitation in the cloud and grows it. It doesn't do anything to shrink it. Because that would be huge in the, like with Hurricane Irma or what was going on in Texas. To be able to aim something like that at a hurricane and de-escalate it before it hits landfall would be huge. That would be something that would be beneficial. But they don't, he didn't say they had a way to do that. He just said they have a way right now to do this in instances of drought. And that was one of the things that was brought up. Huh. In instances where, they're having a tough time in farmlands where they can't get enough moisture or water, that they could try to manufacture a little bit more rain when you do eventually get the rain cloud in.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Fascinating stuff. Where are we going next, sir?
Well, we got a couple of different stories here. Let's go to this one. We'll go back to the I want your soul demonic stuff. And this one literally says, I want your soul. A paranormal investigator makes contact with a ghost on the UK's most haunted road. Phil Sinclair was filmed in the woods to try and connect with spirits of children and a monk. A paranormal investigator was left shaken after he claims to have made contact with the spirit on Britain's most haunted road. Investigator Phil Sinclair was filmed in the woods in Sheffield, South Yorkshire, to try and see if reported sightings of the spirits of children and a monk were true. The 15-minute film shows Phil use an ovilus. Of course, the device detects EMF and turns it into language to help communicate and record the spiritual encounter. The footage filmed on September 2nd recorded a terrifying growl telling him to get out before the spirit says that he needs something. Now, wait a minute. Time out. So the spirit says get out, but then, oh, wait a minute, I need something.
Well, typical.
Yeah. Phil replies, what do you need? And it says, your soul.
Oh, see, so it's a prankster ghost.
Yeah.
Get out. Oh, I hate you. Wait. No, come here.
Wait,
come here. I need something. Just a little something. Your soul.
Oh, is
By
that
the way,
all? Oh, wait,
I
here,
tagged your
look.
mom. Woo!
Oh, you trickster.
Yeah.
It says that speaking through the device. He also caught a ghostly figure walk behind him around 5.5 minutes into the footage. This investigation is the most terrifying one. So for me personally, as it affected me enough, I couldn't sleep, said Phil, a 30-year-old guitar tutor. When I got home, I couldn't shake the image from my mind, leaving me to take a sleeping pill. I'm not the one to jump straight in and say everything is paranormal. I like to debunk as much as I can, but this is something I cannot explain, he went on to say. The figure in the video seems to pass behind me and the girl holding the lighting, and then she said she feels a presence behind here. Moments later, I saw a face of a man over her shoulder. I literally blinked and it was gone. The road is claimed to be Britain's most haunted after reports from 2 security guards witnessing a group of children playing Ring-O Roses. I think that's Ring Around the Rosie, Dave. During its construction and a monk roaming the area. I'm going to get crap, for saying that. You know that, right?
Why not?
Dear Tim, it's not Ring Around the Rosie. It's Ring a Roses. Phil visited, that's right. Now that's going to stir up the emails. Phil visited the haunted
Only
site.
Only from cartoon English guys.
That's right.
Dear Tim. Quiet.
Dear Tim, why are you such a contentious prick? Love, Philip.
Nice.
Phil visited not this Phil, by the way, I'm talking about. Phil visited the haunted site along with Ashley Cox on camera and his partner Francesca Wilson, who was holding the lighting. The group also recording the device pick up the words hate and get out, leaving them to call it a night on the investigation. Phil posts his paranormal investigations on his YouTube page, with this particular video being viewed almost 2,000 times. He also posted a slow motion clip of the ghost figure moving behind him. That must have been romantic. It had to be on a beach somewhere, I bet. They were running towards each other. lovingly. In the video's description, Phil wrote, I literally struggle to find the words to describe what I witnessed during this investigation. I will be left with an image I will never forget. I feel I was making contact with multiple spirits, either children or that of a male. I can't help to think I was dealing with an evil presence, which ultimately told me to
get out. All right.
Get out.
Yeah. All right. Where are we going next, sir?
Well, next we are headed to an exorcism, Dave.
Wow.
Some people, they have, like a baptism.
It's been a busy week in the demon world, Tim.
It really has, Dave. Some people, they have a baptism. Some people have a first communion. This guy had an exorcism for his baby daughter.
Well, I've had 7 children that I've been around my whole life, Tim, and I can tell you that there are many cases of me wishing I could dip them in a bucket of holy water because they have been filled with some kind of devil. That's all I can tell you. Whether it is
down the barn and dunk them in the bucket.
That's right. Whether it be the demonic waste that is coming out of them with smells that can only come from hell, or if it's their reactions to being told no, Tim, I have seen the demonic firsthand.
Well, this dad is sending out invites for the old exorcism, but it doesn't go down as well as I think he thought it would. A dad with a brilliantly dark sense of humor thought he'd invite the family and friends to his daughter. Oh my gosh, how does he pronounce this name? Cerise? Cerise's exorcism? We'll just call her that. How's that? Of course, what he meant was her christening, but he clearly viewed the occasion as the perfect opportunity to have a small laugh about it. Dave, my gosh, this person from the Dublin area posted the event on Facebook, and he wrote, come and join us in the church opposite the Super Value as a man in a sheet throws a bit of water over Cerise and expels the demons that inhabit her soul.
Yeah, you got to be careful with talking about people wearing sheets nowadays, Tim.
Yeah.
That could get the wrong message out there.
Oh my God! And you've got to see the Facebook invite, and it shows the baby laying down with a slight smile on her face, and the eyes rolled back in her head.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's a great sense of humor. What could possibly go wrong?
It is. Twitter user STE, who says he's the person's cousin, shared a screenshot of the amusing invitation, but also a second, which appears to suggest the whole exorcism thing didn't go down too well with some family members.
Jeez.
The tweet says, ha 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 ha, my cousin posted this for his daughter's christening, but clearly got a bollocking from either his girlfriend or his ma'am over it. Around 26 minutes later, the father had amended the Facebook page to something a little more subdued. He later said, come join us for Cerise's special day as she gets christened in a very serious and real ceremony.
I think the first one was much better. Much better.
Yeah. I kind of like the christening there. So there you go. There's, I believe that's your supernatural news for this week.
That's it.
That's it.
All right. Well, let's take a break. When we come back, it's time for ParaShare here on Beyond the Darkness.
Beyond the Darkness.
Hello, we're back. This is the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. Along with me, supernatural news correspondent Tim Dennis. Tomorrow's a brand new True Crime Tuesday. Make sure if you haven't already, go sign up for it now. You can do that at darknessradio.com. Click on the True Crime Tuesday banner and you'll never miss another minute in the best of true crime talk radio. You can also find me now every Tuesday on the Tom Bernard podcast. And you can find an app for that in the iTunes store or at any Droid store. Or you can just check it out online, Tom Bernard, B-A-R-N-A-R-D podcast. I'm a part of the show. And, sometimes we talk a little paranormal, but we also talk pop culture, sports, news, and have some fun doing it, a lot of laughs. So check it out, Tom Bernard podcast. I'll be on every Tuesday when I'm in town. So let's get back to it. We've got some ParaShare stories to share here, Tim. And before we get too deeply into that, I do want to take a moment to recognize it is September 11th. And our thoughts and prayers are still out with the families that lost somebody on this day back in 2001. It is still a moment that we mark every year because of the importance of what occurred, and whether conspiratorial or not, the fact is that a tragedy happened within our country and many lives were lost senselessly. So please bear in mind and keep happy thoughts for those families, and just send them their love, your prayers, any kind of goodwill and good measure you possibly can. And today, love your family a little more, hug them a little longer, laugh a little harder with them, because again, we just never know at what time that bell's going to ring for us. So from your friends at Beyond the Darkness, our thoughts and prayers are out with all of the families and survivors of the 9/11 tragedy. Our thoughts are also with all of the people dealing with these horrific hurricanes and storms that are just laying waste to areas, Tim, and so much devastation around the world. We just pray that it ends. There's something, I don't know, man. I don't want to get all end times on you, but this is, raging wildfires, hurricanes. Did you see the photographs of like the Bahamas where the ocean's just gone?
Yeah. In fact, it's happening in Florida now too. With Irma moving through Florida, you've got shots of. Was it in the Keys that there's shoreline that's shoreline anymore? That there are parts of the ocean floor that are now exposed when Irma came through up through the south part of Florida and through the Florida Keys up into the mainland that are no longer there. They're saying that water will return now on Sunday. Or this coming Sunday, as the storm dissipates. But here's the scary part. The water that's sucked up into that hurricane eventually has to come back down and has to go somewhere. And I want you to think about this for a second when it comes to just Miami. Miami already had a problem with having a problem with flooding before Irma even happened. Right. So with this happening, and now keep in mind there are two other hurricanes behind Irma that are heading in their direction. So really, really pray for Florida in the next 30 days or so, because
pray for all the areas that are going to be affected by this. This is unprecedented, man. And whether it's Michio Kaku's right or the theories are right that HAARP is behind this or something, I don't know. It's a scary world right now we live in, man. And I don't want to, I don't like breeding. That's why I don't do much with conspiracy shows, because they get into my head too much. And I just don't want to see a dark cloud every time I look around. But when you see all the devastation and things that are going with 8.0 magnitude earthquake that just took place in Mexico. Yep. Devastation, man, it's scary right now. It's really scary. So, we joked at the beginning of the show, we're in a safe place. We're trying to be light and keep this going, because I know nobody tunes into our show to be reminded of the misery around the world. But that doesn't mean we still shouldn't, as a community in the Darkness Army, we shouldn't still remember these things, think about them, and just put some thought into it. And like I said, just take a few moments of silent prayer or thought today for those areas. Focus on those hurricanes and just focus on imagining them dissipating, just falling apart and nothing there. And let's just hope that this devastation ends swiftly and that, there's no follow-up to it. But I'll tell you what, in the Bahama area, man, if I lived there, I'd be out there with a metal detector right now. The ocean pulled back for miles. I know it sounds weird, but could you imagine what kind of fun stuff is out there to find? And of course, who am I kidding? I'd have to be out there in hip waders made of steel, because there's no way I'm going to take a chance of stepping on jellyfish and creepy little underwater creatures we don't know exist that are hiding underneath the sand. But I wonder if they're doing satellite photographs of those areas right now, because if anything, man, this may be the time that we uncover something like Atlantis.
Well, it's they were saying, I think from Barbuda, as far as Barbuda is actually where one of the islands that was devastated.
Oh, really? Okay.
This past weekend, you can see, as far as the eye can see, you can see nothing but ocean floor. There's nothing there. And when you think of that for a second, I mean, like you said, satellite photos, definitely you want to take that. But in reverse, we have relatives in Florida that have taken pictures of catfish swimming in the streets.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff like that. So, there's also wildlife out in the streets.
Oh, yeah. Alligators. Mm-hmm. You've got snakes. Oh, I can't even imagine what kind of devastation this flooding is going to leave behind.
But think about this. You're talking about the islands. You had hundreds of years of pirates in the area.
Right.
And sunken treasure.
Oh,
and ships that are sunk. And yeah, you're right. That now would be the time, if you're going to go look for any of that stuff, now would be the time to venture out there, because that water is going to eventually come back. It's not gone forever.
Right.
And you have limited time. So yeah, now would be the time to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I think they said out by the Bahamas that the water should start coming back in over the next couple of days, but that gives you a few days to scan that area and be out there. I bet somebody's going to find something really intriguing after all of this is said and done, whether it's through satellite imagery or what. Yeah. But man, who knows? Atlantis may be out there, Tim, and we may be uncovering it a lot quicker than we thought. Let's do this. I also want to mention, this is ParaShare part of the show where we're going to read your emails. We're asking for you, if you are listeners of the show, to send us your stories. If you've already sent them in, you don't have to send them in again, but we're going to do a couple more segments on our true crime show about I Knew a Murderer. And we're curious, especially with the new audience that we've picked up. On our True Crime Tuesday show, we pontificated about this quite a while ago, about how many people actually know a murderer. And we were blown away by the amount of emails that we got. I mean, blown away by the amount of emails. And then actually in reevaluating our own lives, we realized that we knew some murderers as well. So I guess we're not that far removed, but I'm always interested to hear, were you a survivor of a famous serial killer? Were you a relative of one of the victims or of the serial killer? Did you know these killers? And it doesn't even have to be a serial killer. I'm just curious how many of us know a murderer. And I don't mean in accidental, drunk driving murder. Not that that's accidental, but you get my gist. I mean, I want to know if you know a true cold-blooded murderer, and we want to know your stories. You can email them to me, dave@darknessradio.com, dave@darknessradio.com, and we may talk about that on a couple of upcoming episodes of True Crime Tuesday, share some of those stories again. But let's get to some of the stories we have here, Tim. This is a follow-up on our episode we did last Friday of House of the Dead. Mm-hmm. Hi, Dave. I listen to Darkness Radio at work all the time. I'm not kidding. When I say I listened to the House of the Dead episode, I had a weird experience right at work. As your guest spoke about a dark shape near the shower in that house, a dark swirling shape, kind of a mist, passed overhead in front of the light and either disappeared or went through the wall. I looked up because it got a little dark for a few seconds. I thought I was going to see the fluorescent flickering and burning out. Nope. It was a black mist swirling in front of the light. It was almost like it came through the ceiling and went through the wall. At the exact same time he spoke about a black shape. I was not overly freaked out, but the more I think about it, the more I am freaked. I played the part back right after. I don't know why. Maybe to see if it was going to happen again. It did not. Our building is supposed to be haunted. I thought that was just a joke. I've tried to resolve it by thinking it was just a weird thing with the lighting, but the light was rock solid the rest of the day. All I know is it's synced up with the content on the audio. If it happens again, I'm out of here. See ya. Thanks for putting on a great show. Nothing's going to make me stop listening, and that's Dan. Well, thank you, Dan. We appreciate that. That is kind of weird and uncanny that would take place right in front of you at the moment that you had that experience. Hey, Dave and Tim. That's you and me, though. I'm listening to another podcast. Oh, wow. Start off with just a mortal wound. She says, your show will always be number one, but they're talking about UFOs. And I just thought of a question to ask you both and the Army of Darkness fans. When people have seen UFOs at night, are they seen more often during a full moon, other phases of the moon, or a new moon? I'm just curious, wondering when they were more noticeable. Thank you for both for the great shows you give us fans, your faithful California listener, and that comes from Becky. I would say, Becky, probably it's noticed more on nights where there is a waning moon, when you can actually see the sky more clearly. When the full moon is out, that can really bleach out the sky. I learned that when we went to Gilliland Ranch, the Assetti Ranch, when we filmed the episode of Paranormal State. for A&E, it was a full moon when we went there to film. And it was much harder to see the sky. We had to utilize a lot more with night vision in order to notice the weird things that were taking place in the sky over us. So I would say it's probably more on a waxing or waning moon, maybe even a new moon, while that's taking place. Now, while I was gone, Tim, you did a show on the devil monkey.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
You're always talking about wanting your own monkey, Tim. You want your own service monkey to peel bananas and grapes and feed them to you and scratch your feet. So after you heard the devil monkey sightings, Tim, has that changed your thoughts at all?
Well, that's not a true marsupial, Dave. So, I would like it to maybe keep a few evil neighbors away. But other than that, All right. Probably not completely.
Well, here we go. Cryptid sighting, devil monkey. What follows are the individual accounts of what could be none other than a devil monkey sighting by Kelly McGill and Aaron DeWeese as they drove down a mountain road between Burnsville and Mars Hill in North Carolina. It wasn't until Monday morning, upon updating the old iPod, that they discovered that Beyond the Darkness had done a show on this very thing that they experienced the day before they experienced it, which made it all the more strange. These accounts were written the following night of the experience. We both feel there is something paranormal about this creature, even though it was perceived by us as being real and quite alive. The more we think about it, the more strange the details become. Here's Kelly's account, Tim. Aaron and I were driving down our road at 2 a.m. on Sunday morning, August 27th of 2017. We came up to a bend in the road and saw a white dog on the opposite side of the road walking towards us. He stopped in his tracks, made eye contact with me, and I noticed then that he was not a dog, but his legs looked similar to a dog. He had no ears, and he looked more like a monkey. I slowed the car slightly as I was unsure if he was going to cross. He then sidestepped twice and braced his two front legs like he was bracing to be hit by me. I stared at his face. The eyes were pure black. Short snout and a black nose, pure white fur that surrounded his face and made his face look round. His mouth was closed and his look was passive, almost taken off guard by my car. My high beams were on him, but his eyes did not reflect the light or glow. They were just black. He just stared at me. His front legs looked longer than the back legs, and they looked fairly muscular in front. I don't remember what his feet or tail looked like, or if he even had a tail. I just watched as I drove past him, and he kept gaze with me, and his head followed me as I passed. Aaron wanted to go back and see what it was, but I was nervous. Not only because it was pitch black in the middle of the mountains, but because on all fours he was extremely tall. If he were standing next to my Jeep, he could have easily come up to the window. If he were to stand on his hind legs, he could have been really tall, and I was afraid to take a chance of him attacking the car. I'd never seen anything like this, and I was totally spooked. Aaron and I were stunned and talked about it the remainder of the ride home. Aaron then started making jokes and calling it the devil monkey and pretending it was on the side of the road. We laughed back and forth. Oh, we laughed and laughed until we got home. Now, I'm familiar with a breed of monkey that lives in the trees in Florida, and there's a rumor that they will eventually move north. I did not think it was unheard of for monkeys to be in trees and decided to research a bit on the Google. I searched Appalachian mountain monkeys. Hey, that sounds like a wicked cool band name, Tim. Could we start our own rap team? Actually. The Appalachian Mountain Monkeys with Dave and Tim. And what I found made me lose my breath. Article after article appeared with stories of a devil monkey who's been spotted in the Appalachian Mountains. I asked Aaron if he knew of a devil monkey, and he looked at me like I was crazy. We began researching further, only to discover this is a real thing that people have reported seeing before with different variations and descriptions. We both do not know what to think, but know that we need to document this and wonder if we'll ever see him again. And that comes from Kelly McGill. Now, not to be outdone, Tim, Aaron has shared his account. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
The sighting took place on Hortons Creek Road, just before the Cove Mountain Road turnoff, exactly where there's an apple tree on the side of the road and somewhat of a car junkyard on the other side of the road. It was 2 a.m. Sunday, August 27th, 2017. We were headed southwest just before Hortons Creek Road becomes Paint Fork Road. Kelly was the driver and I in the passenger seat. As we came to a curve in the road, I saw what I believed to be a large dog on the side of the road. I thought I was seeing the dog's backside. I couldn't quite tell what I was looking at. As we drew nearer, I realized that I was looking directly into the face of some sort of creature. What struck me immediately was that it was white, and it had extremely large black eyes, a black nose and mouth. I could see no light reflected in the eyes. They were like black pits. This was a bit unsettling. I never took my eyes off its eyes. Its eyes never looked away from me. The second thing that struck me as extremely unsettling was the roundness of its head and the lack of any ears. Though its body could be described as dog-like, the head was certainly not. It stood there as a sentinel, unmoving. The only movement came as a car came alongside it. This is how, even though my eyes never broke from its eyes, I took in a bit of its body peripherally. It shifted itself to maintain its gaze by shuffling two very muscular front legs. It was on all fours, but the front legs seemed larger and longer. We passed it. Kelly and I both looked at each other and asked, "What the beep was that?" I wanted to turn around to get a better look, but Kelly did not. We drove homeward, and for the next hour or so kept remarking on how strange a creature it was. We both noted it being very monkey-like. Kelly had seen more detail than I, it being on her side. I noted that it was a wild animal. It had absolutely no fear, as most animals would bolt, and the way it locked eyes, past the floodlights of the vehicle and into the cab of the Jeep, this was eerie. The whiteness of its fur, this was strange for a creature that was outside to have that white and not dirty in the least. The tremendous size and the darkness of the eyes, and the seemingly inability we both had to look at anything but those black pits. I would guess that on all fours he came around 3 to 4 feet tall. We've seen extremely large dogs out here in the country, but nothing remotely looking like this thing. We went back the next day, Sunday, in the daylight and got a good look at the area. There were quite a few houses, but this is still a deeply rural area. We noted nothing out of the ordinary. We did return a third time Sunday night. I got out of the car to take some pictures of where we had seen it standing. The lady who lives in one of the houses called out to me asking if I needed help. I explained we'd seen something strange there the previous night. She was very nice and told us deer sometimes come to get apples. I assured her this was no deer, no fawn, no bear, nothing like Kelly or I had ever seen before. I asked if there was a large dog in the area. She said no. I noted there were no dogs barking. All three of us agreed we had experienced something quite out of the ordinary, and that's from Aaron DeWeese. Dave and Tim, you may not wish to read this on air. Fine if you do, but Kelly and I got to talk to Timothy Renner, author of A History of Wild Men, Gorillas, and Other Hairy Monsters in the Keystone State, as well as another book on Toad Road. He's been on Coast to Coast and has a podcast, which I do as well. This is how we met. We shared our story with him, and he told me he had expected us to have a cryptid sighting. He had heard on my podcast that Kelly had seen a spirit, a woman in a white, filthy dress at our house in the countryside of Mars Hill. We moved there August 1st this year. They had us creeped out enough before this incident with the devil monkey. He said that this type of female spirit in white has appeared before cryptid sightings has been noted. He says a show documenting that case of his. It may be you would like to talk to him, whatever you wish. His podcast is Strange Familiars. I'll keep my podcast name to myself because I don't want you to think I'm making this up for attention. On my life, this is true. I just had to share this story exactly as it unfolded. Love you, Tim. You and Tim very much. Keep up the great work. All the best. And that comes from Aaron. Well, Aaron, thank you for the very detailed and interesting account. That is very freaky.
And that's almost dead on with what George Dudding was the name of the author who had the book Devil Monkey, who was on while you were gone, Dave. And it's almost dead on with the description that he gave of the Devil Monkey. And it would make sense when he was talking about how the Devil Monkey ran a lot of times and how it would leave its prints. I know it sounds so funny. The
Devil Monkey. He's a devil in disguise. So yes, he is.
How it would leave its prints, it would leave tracks in threes. So you would see almost like a front paw balancing the two back paws, and almost like it was leaving like its front left paw up.
So it was tripoding. It was kind of centering like a football player.
Yep.
Huh.
And so it you know what, Aaron? It very may well be that, yeah, that's exactly what you saw. It might be a little tall for what you saw, but otherwise you perfectly described a devil monkey.
Pale white with big eyes. Sounds like any one of my children, Tim.
It could be, yeah.
You know what? And I don't mean to dismiss it jokingly. Of course, kidding there. But this sounds very much like alien encounters, too. People that see something that is not alien, but it's almost like it's projecting this image to you so that you don't notice that it's an alien. Because those people have talked about the giant bird or owl figures as well that are stark white with huge black saucer-like eyes, kind of unblinking, unyielding, dead black eyes. It's interesting. That would almost be something that I would think you guys might want to do a little hypnotherapy on, and just regress to see if maybe there's another memory there that you're not, you're not recovering.
I know this much. They were lucky to get away with, if it was a devil monkey, they were lucky to get away with not having the thing attack the Jeep, the car, because that's one of the things that George Dudding was bringing up. A lot of times when they have an encounter with a devil monkey in the road, it attacks the car and goes, it does. I know you're laughing at this stuff. I can't help
it. It just sounds so silly, the devil monkey.
I know, but and these things are incredibly strong.
Oh, I would bet. Well, real apes, primates are terrifyingly strong.
Right. And even though these things are only about 3 to 4 feet tall, these things have gone up into the yard where kids are playing and tried to kidnap the kids or beat the kids up and then take them.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and huge adults. Like there was one man in, I don't remember which state it was in, who actually stopped this devil monkey from trying to beat up this kid and take it off the front lawn, and then it had a shotgun. Then the devil monkey came back for the guy.
Well, of course, you're shooting a shotgun at the devil monkey. You can't have that.
Right. I mean, these things are pretty darn mean. So that's why I'm surprised you just had to stare down with the devil monkey and it didn't flinch.
And you won. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, you got away with one.
This reminds me of something I want to mention to you, Tim, because I want to tell all of our listeners about an app that I recently started using. And I could say this has really kind of added a totally new value to my life. It's called Trunk, and it's an automated journaling program. Unlike pen and paper or other journaling apps that we've all probably used but never went past like the third entry, this app guarantees you success in keeping a journal consistently. If you ever wanted to keep a journal or you started and failed to keep a journal, this is the app for you. And if people like us that are involved in the paranormal and we come up with questions and ideas and thoughts on what these things may be, I drive myself crazy because I always think of this and then I want to jot it down and I never get back to it. And it never comes back up. So when I saw Trunk, I decided this was something I was going to try. This is how it works, Tim. You get automated audio calls at whatever time of the day you want. And when you answer the call, this kind of Siri-like voice comes over and says like, good morning or, afternoon or evening based on what time of day you set it for. But I always set it for about 10:30 at night so that it's just as I'm settling in for the night, kind of going over that, marinating the thoughts of the day. And then it says, what would you like to say today? And at that point, you have up to 2 minutes to talk about anything you want, your day, your life, special moments, anything. And within minutes, the audio file and auto-generated transcript are saved and displayed in your journal's timeline tab. And it's hard to explain why it works, but the automated call process is basically a life hack that guarantees journaling consistency, and consistency is the key word here, because there's so much, Tim. My mom passed away much too early, and I had asked her, Mom, start to journal. Tell the kids about your life. She lived Little House on the Prairie. She was out in Wisconsin with an outhouse growing up, They didn't have all of the amenities that we're used to. She went to a one-room schoolhouse with all the other grades in one room. I wanted her to share those stories with my kids. And you know what? She never got around to it. And then I started thinking about it after she died. I haven't either. I have not really shared my stories. So I've started journaling them in a way here on Beyond the Darkness with my Theater of the Mind. But I'm so much more than the paranormal, Tim. I'm also a super sci-fi nerd and just an overthinker. So it's time to start documenting those moments. And that's why I was looking for something like this. And this is great for me as, I'm getting older, I'm busier, my brain only stores so much information, Tim. And
Right.
this app, Trunk, it helps to guarantee I'm not going to forget the moments and memories worth remembering. For example, I just went through a week and a half ago, I found my daughter, Tim, a daughter I never knew existed. My brand new 5-year-old grandson. This is exciting as hell. And I've been journaling every night talking about this part of the journey and talking about how it's changed my life, how my kids are reacting to it. My life is reacting to this. And it's really, I think this is going to be fun. And one of the things I'm even mentioning is, I've started to decide maybe I want to have my kids start to journal on this with me as well, so that I can play back and hear their voices and read their accounts of these memories. So it's not just only in my mind. So again, you get automated calls. And this feature is what makes Trunk unique from all the other journaling apps. No need to remember to write your journal entries. Just pick up the call, talk for up to 2 minutes, and you're done. And I know that people are like, oh, 2 minutes doesn't sound like much. When you start journaling, a lot of times people stop writing because they get tired of writing. And you'd be amazed at how much you can fit in 2 minutes of memories of the day, happy thoughts, important messages you want to remind yourself of in the future. It's really very easy to do this. You just pick up the call, like I said, talk for up to 2 minutes, you're done. Audio and transcripts are then saved in the user's private journal, and you get the fact that it's all saved too. You're never going to lose data. Most apps store data in the user's phone or ask a user to connect to one of, his or her online storage accounts for the storage, but not Trunk. They store the user's data securely on their server to make it extremely easy and hassle-free. The user's data will always be there today and in the future, stored securely under the user's account. And words are powerful. But the emotions that you can relive by listening to these audios, they're going to help make these past moments come to life. And looking after loved ones too. The sharing feature under the settings screens allows users to share their new entries automatically with others via email. You just add the email of the person who you'd like to receive your entries. It's a perfect use. My children aren't always around. One son's in college. My other son is a firefighter here in the Twin Cities, and he works crazy hours. We don't get to talk that often, but I give them this link and they're able to hear some of the things that are going on in my life and hear some of these memories. And all the calls are made via the app. They don't collect your name, phone number, or any personal information. You just open an account with an email and password, and you're all set. So don't wait to schedule your call. There's an add entry tab in the app that allows you to call back if you miss your scheduled call, or say you just want to call in earlier and not wait for the scheduled call. Also, this is the easiest part yet, Tim. It's text-based entry. Right. Mm-hmm. So if you have more to say, you can create text entries at any time, and there's no limit. So for just $49.99, and that covers your entire year with a 7-day free trial, you have the ability to record an audio journal entry every day. You can also add any unlimited text entries that you want to it. This app is available on the Apple App Store. And they don't have it for the Android version yet. It is something that they plan on developing in the future. But it is something definitely worth checking out. And it, again, like I said, it has been so good for me to be able to record and have these messages down so that I never miss another memory. I never miss the important things. And as you look back on your days, Tim, the days and days are going by faster and faster, and sometimes the memories are fading as fast as the days do. And I don't know if that's true with you, but it is definitely in my world.
Oh, yes, very much so.
So check it out. You guys are going to love it. Trust me on this. And there are so many of our listeners that are writers and journalers. This will just make your life a lot easier. So check out Trunk. All right. Hi, Dave and Tim. We have some more emails here. Hi, Dave and Tim. I first started listening to your show after your Talk is Jericho appearance and now listen daily at my wonderful cubicle job. I'm a scientist by trade and fully believe in the paranormal and unexplained. I take a lot of ribbing for my stance and view on the paranormal. If the science and technology ever allow it, I would leave my job immediately to become a real-life Ghostbuster. I'm holding out my college roommate who is the particle physicist creating some kind of crazy laser technology. I cautiously research minimal paranormal events because I don't want to bring anything bad into my life. I've only had a few minor paranormal experiences when I was a child, as I have a theory there is something or someone watching over me my entire life, and I'd like to share with you my most vivid paranormal experiences. Well, I hope that you do. Let's hear what you have to share. It starts off with, I grew up in a house where 4 generations of my family have lived and a few members have passed away. One of the main features of the house is a large room on the first floor where a beautiful black baby grand piano sits. The piano has been in the family for generations. Growing up, we referred to this room as the music room. The piano belonged to my great-aunt Irene. Irene was an accomplished organ and piano player, and during my mother's childhood, she made a living as the top piano instructor in town. Great-aunt Irene raised my mother, her brother, and sister because my grandmother passed away when my mother was just 5. My grandfather was a timber surveyor who spent his work days driving all over the Upper Peninsula. Right before I was born, Great-aunt Irene passed away in her sleep in the house I grew up in. I was around 8 years old and awoke one night from my sleep and looked at the clock in my room. It was right before midnight, and I was a little bit of a daze trying to figure out why I woke up. I suddenly realized I heard light piano music playing. My bedroom was on the second level along with my parents' and my sister's bedroom. I know my mom would play piano at night to help her relax and was very skilled at playing softly as to not wake anyone. I remember I found this odd that I could distinctly hear music coming from downstairs, so I went down to go wake my father up and tell him to see why Mom was playing the piano late at night. With the music still playing, I walked into my parents' bedroom only to notice I heard not only Dad snoring, but also my mother snoring as well. I peeked my head inside the room and saw both of them sawing logs, sound asleep. This sent initial fear down my spine, but I realized it could have been my sister, who was a pretty good piano player at this time, trying to get some late-night practice in. I went to the hallway and headed into her room when I noticed her door was cracked open and I could see her fast asleep. I remember my heart racing as I saw her laying there, and my next thought was who or what was playing the piano. The music never stopped or wavered, and it sounded beautiful to my ears. It sounded like someone who was very skilled was softly playing my great-aunt Irene's piano. I knew I had to see what was going on, so I gathered up all the courage I could find, and my family and friends and wife can attest I'm a big scaredy cat. I made my way downstairs. I knew if I could sneak halfway down the old creaky steps, I could peer into the music room and see the piano and who was playing it. I felt like it was an eternity as I crept down the stairs, trying not to make any noise. I reached the midway point where I thought I could peer into the music room and slowly knelt down to look. As I started to gaze into the music room, the music abruptly ended. Mid-note, and the cover to the keys slammed down. I rushed back to my bed, dove headfirst under the covers, and tried to sleep. I could not sleep that night and had trouble sleeping for a few nights right after, always waiting to hear that melody being played. A few weeks passed, and one afternoon I was playing Tecmo Super Bowl on my Nintendo when I noticed my mom sitting at the piano. She started playing Yesterday by the Beatles, her favorite song, when she suddenly stopped and switched to a completely different song. As soon as she struck the first few notes, the hair on the back of my neck stood up and chills ran down my spine. It was the song I heard late at night, and I turned a ghostly white. I got up, went over to the piano, and noticed something wasn't right. My mother asked me what was the matter, and I asked her, what was the name of that song? She said it was Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven. I explained to her what happened that night, and she just had a smile on her face. Mom informed me that Moonlight Sonata was Aunt Irene's favorite song, and Irene would play it at night to try to relax for bed. All fear I had for that moment immediately lifted, and from that day on, I always felt that was Aunt Irene trying to just get me to fall asleep the best way she knew, and always felt she and many others that passed before her may have just been looking out for me my entire life. Keep on doing what you guys are doing. I love the show, and thank you guys for getting me through my lovely cubicle workday. Go Pack Go, and that's from John in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I think it's actually Go Back Home. That's what we always chant here at the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah. Go back home. Right. Thank you for sharing that, though, John. Home. That was a powerful and really cool story. Let's see what else we got here. And do me a favor, don't send it to me as a document, because I won't open documents. There's too many viruses. Just send it to me as a standard email. I hate to tell you that, but I know you take a lot of time, but if you still got the story, just go copy and paste it, put it in a regular email, and send it to me, and I'll read them that way. Good evening, Dave. Just finished the Game of Thrones premiere, which if you don't watch, then you need to. That aside, I wanted to ask your opinion on an interesting event I experienced last night. I suffer from health issues pertaining to my heart, the outlook of which is not good. Due to my condition, I have developed sleep apnea. Now, this alone wouldn't be much concern, but it added to my current health issues, and it makes me think outside the box on this one. I'm sure that you're aware that sleep apnea is a condition in which your body or brain shuts down one's ability to breathe during the night while sleeping, to which my heart consequently stops beating. As such, there are many nights that I do not get any sleep at all. One reason why people with sleep apnea don't get any rest is because they never reach REM state. With this condition, I have not had the opportunity to dream in years, even with my CPAP machine. Last night, however, I had a dream in which I died. I found myself walking through a field of ash littered with bones of dead people from all walks of life, particularly those that have fallen in combat. After my walk, I came to what was depicted, or what I perceived to be, heaven. This was the most surreal and most astounding place I'd ever seen. The colors so vibrant, an amazing place anybody could ever imagine. There were some that I seemingly knew and vaguely recognized, and had a sense of peace to which no one in the world could ever imagine. I felt alive and anew, without a care in the world, except the awe and amazement to which I gazed upon. As I began to walk forward into this place that I instinctively knew to be heaven, I was struck with what felt like a rubber band sling-shooting me back into my body, from which I awoke. As I fell back into my body, a voice of which I will never forget said to me, "It's not your time." I then awoke from my sleep, ripping my CPAP mask off and gasped for air. I've never had anything strange or unusual happen to me, and wanted to get your thoughts on what I might have experienced. Was it a dream, or did my body truly succumb to my health issue? My heart stopped beating long enough to shoot me to the next world. Thank you for your time, Chris Swan. Chris, I appreciate that you think that Tim and I would have the answers to these mysteries and more, but we're just a couple of lunkheaded radio hosts. We can guess, we can talk about it, but I'd hate to trivialize it. I mean, yes, you obviously have issues with your sleep apnea, and if it's getting that bad where you feel like you might be dying, I think it's time to go talk to a neurologist or a sleep specialist again and see if there's some way to help you. There's a lot more research being done, and I think that there's some new breakthroughs. So please check that out. Could it have been? Sure. I mean, if consciousness is dipping in and out to the heaven realm, it very well could be, but the vividness of it makes me believe that it was something much more than just a dream, because that's what it has felt like for me when I've had dream visitations. But I wouldn't begin to fathom a true answer one way or another. And if I told you one way or another, this is definitely what you experienced, I'd just be a liar. I don't know, Tim, do you have any way you want to weigh in on this?
I would agree with that, and on top of it, I would say, you know what? If you've got sleep apnea and you're not on a CPAP machine, you need to get something right away, because the fact that you would even be flirting with death is a dangerous thing. Don't even try to do that again. I would get on some sort of, if you're not on a CPAP machine, and you may be, and you just haven't included that in the story, I would. No,
he said he was on a CPAP machine because he tore it off his face when he woke up.
Well, then what?
Yeah.
It should be forcing air and not allowing you to get to that state, to get you to go to the other side.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Here's my issue. I have sleep apnea. I went in and had a sleep study done, as you probably remember, and we talked about on air a while ago. And I think I fell asleep for like 3 minutes, and they woke me up. They're like, "Oh, hell no, you're getting a CPAP machine." I couldn't sleep. I tried that sucker for 7-8 months. I couldn't sleep worth shit wearing a CPAP mask. I just couldn't. And I tried everything. I had the Top Gun face mask. I had the little nasal, hoses. I couldn't do it.
They also have a couple other devices now that you can use too.
That's what I've heard. I might try one of those, because the CPAP machine was not my lifesaver. And I still, I sleep. I don't know if it's better. I've a lot of people that have sleep apnea are back sleepers. I don't sleep on my back. I can't sleep on my back. It's totally uncomfortable. I sleep usually 3/4 onto my side, almost on my belly. And sometimes I sleep on my belly. It just depends. But, I never get a really good solid night's sleep, and I need to look into that, because I do want to have a good, long, healthy life. But,
when I had the sleep study, I couldn't sleep wired up. So it didn't, I really didn't even have a full test. I just said, I don't know how you sleep with all these wires on. I can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Well, that's it for this week, folks. That's it for ParaShare Supernatural News. Remember, I'm going to be hosting Coast to Coast AM this Friday and Saturday night. You can find stations in your area or other ways to listen by visiting coasttocoastam.com/stations. Or do me a favor, just download knSIradio.com, their app. You can listen from anywhere in the United States to that app and hear the show. I think you can even listen in Canada by accessing their app. So check it out, knSIradio.com. That is our home for Coast to Coast AM. And that is where I record from every time I do the show. So please check that out. We've got a great weekend of true crime and pop culture that's going to be with you on Coast to Coast AM. And I'd love to have you guys call in and weigh in and be a part of the show with us. We'll be back tomorrow. We've got much more to talk about in the strange and the supernatural. For Tim Dennis, I'm Dave Schrader. You've been listening to the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness.